Breaking news. To the surprise of nobody, remakes are beating new games.
Seem to be
Who
dominating
would have
these
guessed?
days. And here's what's kind of cool. There's a new survey and it shows something real striking. That
Turn it down a little
90%
bit.
of you have played a remaster or a remake within the last few years.
How long is last few? What was the last remaster I played? I think it was RE. No, Silent Hill 2 I played after RE4. I think it came out after RE4. What the fuck am I talking about?
Which isn't really a surprise. I mean, I've certainly played
The last
a few.
new game I
you
played
have. And who
that
could
wasn't
blame
a
you?
sequel
These games
was
are
Expedition
dominating.
33.
And the biggest example's probably Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered.
And that one I didn't
has
play.
Outsold all but one of the new games released this year.
I fucking hate that it's sport game. Call of Duty 54. Sport game. Okay, admittedly, these two are kind of based.
So you might wonder then, is this just the
But like, for
industry's
fuck's
future?
sake, man,
An
FIFA sells
endless
so
cycle
much.
of nostalgic re-releases forever, all consuming itself. Well, it turns out maybe not.
It always
Because
shocks
for
me
most
how
people
many
playing these remakes,
sport
it's actually not
gamers there
about
are.
nostalgia. It's literally impossible because most of them haven't played the original version, and that's just one snippet of the new data we've got about remakes. When I say every week brings a new remake or remaster, that's not idle words, it's quite literal. Last week had Trials in the Sky first chapter and Platypus Reclayed. This week there's Pac-Man World 2 Repack. Perhaps not Oblivion Remaster tier, and you'd be forgetting.
Yeah, I don't really keep up with a lot of remakes, mainly because I just don't really care. The RE remakes I care about. They're always really good. Except 3. 3, was it 3? Yeah, it was RE3, right? They cut out like half the game for some reason. That one was kind of stupid. But 4 was really good. 2 was really good. To be honest, they should remake 1. I know they already remade it, but they remade it in like 2014. I mean, they should remake it in the same way they remade 2, 3, and 4. Or I guess 2 and 4, not 3. I would love if New Vegas got remastered, because I have no confidence in Obsidian being able to make a good sequel to the game. So just remake it, make it run better, make it look pretty. Actually, don't fix the glitches. Keep the glitches. The glitches were good. Just fix the crashing, and then it's good.
At how it appears there's some cultural zeitgeist crying out for early 2000s games that have already been re-released, reported half a dozen times. It's a bit weird, but in 2025, remake culture has really just reached new heights here. Like, to put some stats on the Elder Scrolls Oblivion situation, that remaster sold more copies in its first month than the original game did in 15 months.
To be fair, though, from my understanding, Elder Scrolls Oblivion was the first kind of big Elder Scrolls game. Morrowind was before it, right? Morrowind was pretty big, but it's only like it became a lot more popular in recent years. It's kind of like Dark Souls, where it was popular when it came out, sure, but over the years it's only gotten more popular because more people have gone back to play it. From my understanding, it's kind of the same with Oblivion. When it came out, sure, it was popular, but it's like now, oh yeah, because everyone, it's like, oh, Oblivion, like, this game was amazing. Oh, and they're remaking it? Awesome, I'm gonna play it, you know? And I feel like there is kind of going into like the Walmart American type thing, or like, you know, Bob the electrician, you know, who like plays on only Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, that's already play on PC, where they will not go back to play an old game because they attribute good graphics to good game. So they might be like, oh, I want to play Oblivion, but it looks shit, so I'm not going to. And it's like, oh, now it looks pretty, I'm going to play it.
In total, it is already.
I'm just not a fan of Elder Scrolls. I think games are boring. I like watching them, but I don't like playing them.
Now, you could argue that something sad is happening here, that publishers are just pushing lazy nostalgia grabs because they can't make new games that are good, and that nobody's money.
I pre-ordered Anthem. I pre-ordered I've only ever pre-ordered 3 games in my life. State of Decay 2, which I hated. I replayed it like last year. I actually loved it, but when I got it, I hated it. Borderlands 3, which on launch, that game was terrible. Again, replayed it years later. Really enjoyed it. I say years later, it was actually the next year. But anyway. And Anthem. Anthem I actually did enjoy start to finish. The only thing is, it did not have an end game. The story was good, as in like it was enjoyable to play. I don't really actually listen to the story. I'll watch a lore video afterwards, you know. But the game itself, I enjoyed. It did not have, like, the whole idea is it's like a looter shooter type thing, so you're supposed to do raids, but there was only 3 raids and only one of them was worth doing. So you just kept doing the exact same raid every time, and it was so fucking boring.
He's going to new games. And then maybe this all shows us that people crave the good games of the past that we used to play, not the
People
bad
just
games
want
that we
good
get
games.
now. But that wouldn't make full sense.
Most
because
new
of a
games
kinda
are terrible.
staggering statistic from this recent survey that 85%
Well, sorry.
of you have
Let me rephrase that. Not most new games are terrible. A lot of new indies are really good. Hades 2. Clover Pit. It's not as new, but what was that game where you're a drug dealer again? Schedule 1. I'm trying to think there. I had another one in my head, but I can't remember it now. Like, the indies are really good, but the AAAs are really shit.
played a remake.
Expedition 33, that's what I was thinking of.
A remaster of a game that you did not play in the first place. So it actually seems that this stuff is expanding into a new audience. Let's dive into the survey, and to do that, we gotta define our terms. Remakes are complete reimaginings built from scratch, so updated graphics, gameplay mechanics, and sometimes story elements. Remasters are enhanced versions of originals.
This is stupid. This is so dumb. They remaster this game like every year. No, was it every year? It was Last of Us. They remade it a year later, and then I think 2 came out a year after that, and now they're remaking 2. It's so dumb.
Sound and performance, but the core gameplay staying the same. And here's what the data tells us. MTM Consulting surveyed 1,500 US and UK gamers, and GameIndustry.biz brought the data to our attention, and for the sake of uniformity, they gave respondents those specific definitions so everyone's on the same terms. Then they asked people how they feel.
An
The
enhanced
findings-
version of the game, improving visual
yeah.
sound and performance.
So, there's the 90% stat of people having played
The performance is debatable. A lot of remakes do actually run really shit in the first like few days, but then when they get patched, they're fine.
at least one remaster or remake, and considering how many there have been, that's not a surprise. Then there's the 85% stat that I just talked about. But there's some other ones too. 80% and 71% of people respectively believe that these games are comforting and nostalgic at the same time as being a good way to share beloved games with new generations. So through these numbers, we actually
I understand the sharing with new generation. The nostalgic is kind of up to the person. Sorry, I just responded to a text. Like, the nostalgia is going to hit, I would say, probably actually the minority of people who play it. Like, who play a remake.
see that the majority
Unless
of
it's
people
something like The Last of Us that literally got remade the year after, where it, or maybe it's a year and a half, I don't know, but it was, you know, it's a really short amount of time, where it's like, okay, you're literally capturing the exact same audience, and like Sony Glazers, that's it.
First time. And we'll come back to that. But where it's getting tricky for publishers is what the hell to do. And we've got
Oh
big
yeah, they
examples
remade
of that.
Assassin's Creed
Some
1,
of
didn't
them
they?
are, say, older Assassin's Creed remake examples. There's the whole Space Marine 1 thing. And there's a core tension.
Huh?
If you change the game too much, some people won't like it. If you don't change it enough, other people also won't like it. 'Cause
Yeah, you
maybe
need
what they're
to...
expecting is a
Yeah, a lot of game studios are kind of in a really weird situation. At least that have a good IP, because it's like, they need to innovate, but they can't innovate too much. Resident Evil is a great example. They kept trying to innovate. They made 5, which unironically 5 is such a fun Resident Evil game. The way I describe Resident Evil 5, it's an amazing game. It's a shit Resident Evil game. But they tried to innovate again, and that's what happened with 6. So there's a certain point where you actually just have to stop innovating and you have to refine all your innovations. But game studios are in a really weird spot where it's like they don't want to innovate because anyone who does innovate fucks it up. Mainly because their innovations are really shit.
for
Concord!
Make tier of work. But
How
you know
about we
what's
make
nice? You don't
Overwatch,
need to take this shit in
but
vibes, 'cause
worse?
Now we've actually got some data. Let me know if this gels with your experience.
Oh,
So
I love this game.
35% of players say remakes are better when they change narrative or gameplay elements. 30% say they're worse.
Depends on what they change.
35% say they're fine either way. So,
yeah, I'm not
yeah,
too
if
hard
you're a
pressed.
developer, what do you do? It's a third, a third, a third. Because regardless, it seems some people are going to be unhappy.
Again, I think it's kind of the Resident Evil, because you just showed Resident Evil. It's like this is the Resident Evil 3 thing where your changing narrative is literally just deleting parts of the game. But in RE4, they did change the narrative a little bit where it kind of makes the story feel more cohesive. It makes it feel better. Separate ways, they redid like the whole thing, and it felt a lot better. So if you do it like that, it's fine. But a lot of the times they do just kind of make it worse.
And this might explain the continual discourse around these games. We haven't settled on a correct approach, but we have now learned some things. So what affects player experience the most? Well, making games look and feel modern, and as the survey people put it,
I need to replay
gamers expect
RE4
major
remake
graphical
and RE4
overhauls,
the original
updated
one actually.
controls, and improvements to mechanics. Now, this is where we can get into some solid examples. Take Capcom's Resident Evil remakes. At least one of the interviewees specifically cited tank controls, basically just saying gamers of a younger age.
I played with tank controls once, I think 3 years ago. I don't remember what game I played, but it had tank controls. Oh my god, it's I thought people exaggerated, like, oh yeah, it's not that bad. Just, just get used to it. Holy shit, it's a completely different ballgame.
Would probably struggle with them. And yeah, can you imagine the Zoomers and the Gen Alphas trying to do tank controls?
Like, I'd probably be
original
fine
Resi?
after
That
like
would be
3
mad.
hours.
Well, obviously,
but I'm not
if you
bothered to
change too
learn a
much,
whole new
it'll
movement
feel wrong
system.
to fans of the original. Like, in a way, there has to be a little bit of authenticity promoting clunk in the controls of Leon, because if he controlled like an uber badass, he wouldn't exactly play like one, because it's your mastery of his controls that actually nails the character's development and capability throughout the series. But as we press on through the survey, well, we get to talk about pricing. And certainly, there's opinions on pricing. 74% of users expect a game to be cheaper than the original release to a greater or lesser degree. And that's both about the value of the upgraded product and the decision to publish it at all. 6%, though, go further. They say they want them free or within subscription services. And also timing matters. Only 4% of people
Love it when people walk into my room.
think 2 years is enough time between releases. 14% say 3 to 4. 32% say
If I don't edit it out, I am sorry, but I'll remember. Don't worry.
5 to 6 as the
I will
appropriate
remember,
amount of
maybe.
time. And
I can't make
certainly,
any promises.
Looking at you, PlayStation, you guys really do like doing it pretty quick. But if you want a perfect example of everything going wrong, it comes from a really goddamn sad place, and that is the Space Marine Mastercrafted Edition from Sega earlier this year. Oh dear.
Wait, it already came out? What?
It did not do well. Existing players felt cheated. There was no discounted upgrade
How is there only less than 200 reviews?
path.
How many
The
does Space Marine
Anniversary
2
Edition
have?
had effectively been re-released back in
Steam.
2021, and the Mastercrafted Edition
'Cause Space
really
Marine
didn't
2
have
was
enough
really
graphical
good.
improvements whatsoever. It felt like a cheap cash grab to capitalize on Space Marine 2 being pretty goddamn good. So here's
Yeah, Space Marine 2 was 80,000 reviews.
the lesson. Especially once a game is accessible in a modern digital
How do you
format to
fumble
audiences,
that badly?
You can't just keep hitting the re-release button. But companies will obviously keep trying, and that's because the opportunities far, far outweigh the costs. Gotta talk about the business case. Think about the business side like this. Oblivion is a goddamn dream scenario. It massively outsold the original, in great part because there are simply more gamers now. And one thing you'll see in, like, say, rookie startups.
There's
and
more
people being like,
gamers.
oh, you know, if I just get 10% of the market, then I'll make X amount of money. And that's a little bit
Good luck
silly,
with
but
that.
it can kind of fit our purposes for here.
If I just
Even
get
if you assume
10%
that a
of
game
gamers
sold
to buy
to
everything I
1%
ever
of the
release,
audience
I'll be
way
a
back in the day,
millionaire.
and it could still sell to 1% of the current audience again in 2025, then it would be worth the cost of updating because, good God, the audience for games has increased massively. And this survey effectively validates that logic. The idea that 85% of players are willing to buy remakes with no personal attachment is huge. Now, maybe they have
I feel like there's a lot of people who either they have like a sibling who played the original game, or they've watched videos on the original game and they like the original game, but there is something about it that they just can't get over. Again, Resident Evil, like tank controls, a lot of people just can't get over that, and I would say rightfully so. Tank controls are fucking miserable. So they just kind of wait for a remake. I feel like there's a lot of people in that kind of field.
Nostalgia for an era. There'll be creator coverage, maybe from people who played it back in the day, so these remasters will kind of have Vanguard-ish super fans. And it helps with branding. Popular games guarantee at least some audiences. And taking a look at my personal playing habits, I've got to say I do have a bit of a theory here in why these games can work so goddamn well. So, across this channel, across the years, we've talked about so many game development stories that have been utter goddamn shit shows. I think a great example
Concord
of one
Marathon.
which, I mean, that it even came out is kind of shocking. It would be Dragon Age
Veilguard. Oh,
so the
yeah.
deal with Dragon Age, right? That went
It was
through
so bad I forgot it existed.
multiple redevelopments, and I believe they did a reboot and then made the version we got in like 18 months.
Yeah,
And
I got
that is a
Duke
story
Nukem
that
forever.
is just repeated across so many games. Now, a lot of that is because of planning risk, right? There's the game that they plan, and then they just keep on needing to goddamn reboot and reboot and reboot, and it ends up being complete chaos. But you see with these remasters, you already have a proven formula. And that proven formula means you have far less design risk. One of the things that we talk about in like project planning is the difference between a known unknown and an unknown unknown, right? So an unknown unknown is something you just truly cannot predict. And any purely new project is going to be stuffed full of them. Whereas if you're doing a remaster of a game that you've already got like the whole template for, man, that's going to be way, way, way easier because you can point to everyone across your production team to the literal thing that they're remaking.
Yeah, just do this.
And that is
but again,
huge. Because one of the things we're pretty good at in this industry is, well, scaling up big production teams. One of the things we're less good at is effectively using all of those production teams.
Yeah.
Some of that can be bad management, as seen in so many stories. Some of that can just be that games are...
It's almost always bad management.
Extremely complex.
And or miscommunication, but miscommunication would be part of bad management.
Design risk that with teams as large as game teams have ended up being, it's hard to just utilize everyone well. And that's where I think the remakes and the remasters actually can do something really important. They can take away risk, and that opens the door for pretty amazing levels of polish. The best examples, of course.
And as well, also, even though most companies won't, but some will, if they have a remake that pops off and they have like this sudden influx of funds, they might go work on a new project because they have kind of this like safety rail of, okay, we have all of this money coming in from this game, and usually it's a pretty long, like take Resident Evil for example, we'll say, right? Resident Evil 4 remake does really well, and say Capcom wanted to make another IP. Just say Resident Evil was the only IP they had, right? And they wanted to make another one. They can take some of the money for Resident Evil 4 and put it into that IP, while also knowing that they have the safety rail of like, okay, well, if this fails, we have RE5. You know, it helps.
Resi 4, and probably Oblivion. I'm sure you can name a few as well. But here's the weird thing. It's not just successful games getting remastered.
Kickbots are back.
Any game that exists within an IP library can get a second chance. If a game was niche before, well, actually that niche could be far larger in 2025. And that's why we've been seeing companies hoovering up legacy IP.
Hoover.
Seriously. Embracer does it, Atari does it, Microids, they do it as well. If you can sell die-hard fans of the old stuff, you can also sell to new genre fans. And it seems that's been driving a lot of IP hoovering up over the last few years. Ultimately then, it's a perfect storm. You get either lower development costs or perhaps more efficient
I don't think I've
deployment of
ever
your
actually
capital
played a
because,
Pac-Man
well,
game
you
other
know,
than like the
you're
arcade one
remaking
on
a thing.
Google.
You already know what the thing looks like. Even better for the rights holders, there's the potential of outsourcing for upscaling and improvements with the likes of, say, Asper. That sort of thing's always been the case, but with this new data that we've got, we can see that the audiences, we are just as responsible for all of this stuff happening because we actually do turn up for these games and we buy them. And you know what? Whenever I think about my recent play habits, yeah, there's actually a lot of this in them because it's been Oblivion remastered.
My recent play habits is literally just modded Minecraft, modded Terraria, modded Total War Warhammer, Hades 2, Clover Pit. I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting? Oh, Borderlands 4, but I haven't played that in a while.
Last of Us Part 1 remastered.
But that's
you know
only
why?
because I,
Girlfriend hadn't played
yeah,
it.
86
We wanted to play
hours
through it together.
in the span
The
of like 2
upgraded
weeks.
version, as it turns out, while yeah, the multiplayer ain't there, god damn, it is gorgeous. And the gameplay updates have it playing slick as hell. It's been a brilliant experience. And it proves the core of The Last of Us is as timelessly good as it always was. If you give it a big new lick of paint, it'll just be the best.
Kill that fly
to
in your
play
room,
now.
please.
In
I
the
beg
best
of you.
case, it can be like when you get a new scan, a new remastering of a classic movie that's absolutely beloved, that allows people to fully enjoy it and fully appreciate it on the newer hardware. And I think that's honestly great for games. There's loads of games that
Oh
I
my
think
gosh.
shouldn't be relegated to the past.
I always
But
forget
there
how
is another
shitty
side
the
to
old
this.
games look.
Making new games is more expensive than ever. And as an example of that, Shuhei Yoshida, who you may know for being fairly legendary within PlayStation for a long ass time, he was saying recently, and he's not with PlayStation anymore, but that the single player games now cost so much money to make that they actually need the additional income from remasters and PC ports to actually make shit viable. Now, theoretically, there is an upper limit here. You can't.
Is that because your teams are just way too big, though? Like, I get it. This stuff is more expensive. But, like, is this because you have, like, a 5,000 man team when realistically you only need 500? You know, it, like, is...
Constantly remake old stuff because eventually you'll run out of it. And if there's any form of reckoning our industry is going to face, it's probably that senior staff have often been treated quite badly. There's been a lot of burnout. There's been a lot of people leaving the games industry. And in an ideal world, they are the people who make the new games using all of their experience. And in my estimation, when you
Expedition
combine
33.
that with a lot of industry trends,
Literally a bunch of Ubisoft devs. I think it was Ubisoft. Ex-Ubisoft devs, obviously.
Probably a large
There's a
part
lot of
why
skilled
a
devs
lot
that
of
are being
new
forced to
games
make things they
just
don't want to
don't
make.
feel like they hit as good as games used to. Games that when they're remastered, it sure does seem we all
Can't wait
lap
10
up
years for
and
Expedition
buy.
33 to get
Okay, what I want
remastered.
you to do is let me know what is your best and worst recent experience with a remake or remaster. And once you're done with that, well, there's a company we need to talk about. It's called Bungie, because, goddamn,
Oh, right,
I think they need a remake or remaster at this stage.
I think they need to remaster the whole company. Best and worst remake in recent memory. As I said, I don't really play a lot of remakes. So, RE4 was a really good remake. I didn't like Silent Hill 2 remake that much, but that's because I liked watching videos of Silent Hill and like the lore and stuff, but actually playing the games I don't like. Which is weird because I'm still planning on playing through Silent Hill F. I think that's what it's called, right? The new one. I think most remakes kind of hit that like mid territory. Like it's fine. It's exactly what I expected. Just redo what was good, and you're fine. That's kind of it, really. Good video though. Good shit. We need more remakes. We need better remakes. Make remakes great. Make games great again.